Hello, my name is Frank Monaghan, and in this podcast I'll be talking about preparing for the E302 EMA, and it's based on questions that we're frequently asked about end of module assessments. The first of those is, why do we even have an EMA? Well, the module team takes the view that the exam is not necessarily the best format for testing your knowledge and understanding of a whole module, and so we prefer to have the end of module assessment to replace the individuated exam so that you can work at your own pace. And it also then removes some of the stress of sitting the exam, which many students tell us they find very pressured. It doesn't mean, of course, that you shouldn't be taking it seriously, but it's still a very large chunk of your module result, so it's important that you start planning early. What is the EMA? Well, the EMA End of Module Assessment, it replaces the exam, but it also tests your knowledge and understanding of exactly the same things. You'll be ranging across the module material, rather than just concentrating on a smaller specific area as you've done in the TMAs. So the EMA extends and consolidates your knowledge of the module materials. Your score for the EMA is also known as your Overall Examination Score, or OES, and you need to pass the EMA as well as your TMAs in order to pass the E302 module as a whole. You'll find more details about this on Student Home. The Undergraduate Assessment Handbook also contains information on assessment and policy more generally, and of course it's the guidance notes that you'll find on the module website that are the crucial things to be reading and discussing with your tutor. Tutors mark the EMA, or sometimes members of the module team, but it's never your own tutor. It's marked using exactly the same criteria that we use for marking the TMAs, and so it's useful, once you've done the EMA, to check it against those criteria to make sure that you've covered all the ground that you need to. The EMA is designed to assess your knowledge and understanding of E302. It also examines your skills in text selection and linguistic analysis, as well as how you go about building an argument around these. You're free to decide yourself how to organise the EMA. You need to present it in a way that you think best suits it and enables you to make the arguments that you want to make to demonstrate your understanding of the module. So there are no specific rules about layout, but obviously we do appreciate clear, well-organised, legible work though. So think about your marker who'll be reading lots of scripts. This is a level 3 module, so we think it's really important that you make choices independently. No text is explicitly prohibited, but you do need to think carefully and choose something you feel you'll be able to exploit and analyse for your purposes. You are strongly advised to avoid reusing a text that you've studied in any previous module or context, because it's simply much harder to talk about that text in E302 terms when you're already very familiar with it from a different context. So we recommend that you choose something new, you make a fresh start. It's also important to choose a text that you find interesting, because that way you're more likely to say something interesting about it. But do remember, this is an assessment, so you also need to be strategic and be confident that the text you've chosen allows you to demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of E302 module content and concepts. You can't send your tutor a draft of your EMA, just as you don't do that for the TMAs. So please don't send them examples of anything you're thinking of writing. It's not to say you can't talk to them about what you're planning to do. That's what they're there for, to give you guidance. But remember that the EMA is essentially the same as an exam, and just as you can't talk to an invigilator about what you're writing, so too your tutor cannot give you advice about the actual things that you're going to put into the EMA. You really need to respect the 3,000 word count limit. Regardless of what you may hear on social media, there is no 10% leeway, and your marker won't thank you for going over, nor do you get any extra credit for doing so. The marker may also simply stop reading once they've reached that 3,000 word limit. Do remember that in-text references count towards the final word count, but the end of references list doesn't. If you attach an appendix, and not everybody will need to, please put it at the end of the EMA after a page break. If you submit it as a separate document, it will jam up our system and makes life harder for everyone, especially your marker, and you do not want to make life harder for your marker. The length of text is up to you. It really does depend on what kind of text you choose for analysis. If you need to include an appendix, keep it as brief as possible. Appendices are not read by your marker unless they want to check something. So anything that is crucial to your argument, any quotations from the text that you need to talk about, should be included in the main body of your EMA. If your text is something that would benefit from line numbering, then go ahead and add them. If your text is something that can't be easily shown to your markup, such as a website or an animation, give the URL so that it can be verified. If your text is really something that is unusual, then try to explain it. For example, if it's a story I overheard on the bus, and give the date and the location. The important thing is to find a way to explain to your marker where it came from. There is no set recipe for getting a good score on an EMA. What you need to do is to read the guidance notes carefully, read the question carefully, and answer it. Planning early really helps. Do not listen to Facebook rumours, as they are often wrong. They often come from some other module, and they can do more harm than they do good. There are no model answers for the EMA. Every EMA is different, and you should think about what you want to do. Read the guidance notes again and again. Referencing is important, but it is not the be-all and end-all of everything. We do run the EMA through copycatch and Turnitin, just as the TMAs are, and you do need to reference your sources both in text and at the end of it. There's plenty of advice on the referencing system we use via Student Home, so just make sure you feel confident about that. We cannot emphasize strongly enough that you need to take care that you submit the right document for your EMA. Every year, a few students submit a previous TMA by mistake, or a draft that they weren't intending as their final draft, and we cannot help you if this happens. Please check you sent the right piece of work. There is a brief grace period after the cut-off time, just in case you have some technical problem that prevents you from sending your EMA through to us. This is intended to help you if something catastrophic happens, basically technically, so please don't view it as some kind of extension, as that's a very dangerous approach. Play safe and get your EMA into the system in good time, and certainly by the submission deadline. No extensions are allowed for EMAs after the end of the grace period, because we have to get everything marked and the results sent out. You will get some feedback on the EMA. It will be very short, probably no more than a few lines. It's not meant to be as extensive as the feedback you get on a TMA, because those are intended to help you prepare for the next assignment. And of course, we're hoping you won't be doing another EMA on E302. So that's the end of the presentation. All that remains for me now is to wish you the best of luck with it. Goodbye.